All right, the Bucks. It is Talking Buccaneers with me, Fumane. You guys might hear that I'm in a car. And I'm recently having to find myself having to record while traveling. That's because Orlando Pirates is not giving us a chance to break. They've announced another signing before we could catch our breath. As we are going to work, as we are going to bed, and as we are trying to live life, we keep getting these notifications that Orlando Pirates have signed another player. This time they've signed Oswin Appollis, much to the delight of many Buccaneers. All things considered, I think everyone is quite happy with the signing. I think those who are skeptical, I'll address that. I think I know what the skepticism might be. I'll get on to talk about that maybe much later in the video. But I want to start here. I want to start with the obvious, merely stating the obvious. What are we getting? Obviously, we are getting a Bafana international, someone who has represented South Africa on the national stage at a fairly young age. I think he's born 2001 in August, so he's turning only 24 years old. Around the time where the season starts, he'll be 24 years old. I think that's around the same age that we signed Munapule Saleng at. So many years still ahead of him. If you think about the fact that I'm trying to think of some wingers who are around the age of 30. He's still 6 seasons before he turns 30. And so yeah, that just means that you've got like all these years with him, provided he doesn't do so well that, the European stage starts to come calling and they start to come knocking at the chairman's office. However, 24-year-old Bafana international, in terms of play style, very direct, quite direct in his approach. Someone who's very good in dribbling. He likes his take-ons. Very speedy, plays on the left wing. I think that's his best position. He can play on the right wing, but I'll come on to talk about that. But obviously, his main position, I think he prefers to play on the left wing because then he can cut inside. He can almost come inside his man, allow the fullback to overlap, and take shots on, play passes in or cross, and make an in-swinging cross into the box. So that kind of player, not much in terms of output, in terms of numbers. I think he's not your stats, what do they call them? His stats don't look great. Like he doesn't score a lot, he doesn't assist a lot. However, he makes a lot of attacking actions. And I think what you can kind of hope for with him is that with a good striker, with good movement ahead of him, with better players than he did have at Polokwane City, like we've seen at Bafana, is that he does become a differential. He does become productive with better players ahead of him. I mean, I remember one of the first few times that I saw him play for Bafana, especially because that's where I thought I wanted to reserve my judgment for him in that kind of stage, was he was doing really well with, who's the striker at Mamelodi Sundowns, the one from Stellenbosch. I'm forgetting him now. I'm recording this in the morning. But yeah, with that kind of movement, Ikram Reynas. With Ikram Reynas ahead of him, with that kind of player in front of him, Lyle Foster, he's going to, become a differential because he's going to have amazing movement in front of him. And with his speed, with his technique and vision, he's just gonna do well. And I think at Orlando Pirates is obviously gonna have Tshegofatso Mabasa ahead of him. We've signed Butuma now. We're gonna see what we get in terms of him at Pirates. We Tumelo Radio Bani. There's There's an offensive midfielder in Tito and Munapule Saleng if he's still playing for us. Relebogile Mofokeng if he's still playing for us. Those kind of players with him, I think he's just gonna be so good. And then also being fed by players like Sipombule and I'm gonna come on to talk about the midfield in a different video because I've got so many ideas around that. But being fed by that level of player as well, I think he's going to do well at Orlando Pirates just because of his sheer talent. Based on his sheer talent alone, I think he's going to do well. I think what would be a barrier of his would be, how professional and how well he behaves himself, obviously, and how hungry he is for success and how hungry he is for improvement. However, I think on talent alone, I'm almost certain that he's going to do well. Now, obviously, Orlando Pirates is a squad which is, it's packed with quality. Where Oswin Appollis plays, we've already got Relebogile Mofokeng, Katlego Tladisa is coming back on loan. I don't know what the situation is with Gilberto Vieira at Petro de Luanda. Is he coming back from loan? Dion Hotto can play there as well. And then on the opposite flank, you've got Moha Nkotha. You've got Munapule Saleng, who might be coming back also. And you've now signed Tsepang Moremi. And if I'm forgetting someone, you guys will remind me in the comment section. But the point being that we've got about 6 or more players playing in that position. And he obviously doesn't come in to walk into the starting 11. And therein comes the skepticism from Orlando Pirates supporters. Because I think a lot of thoughts, including myself, is now, is it that Oswin Appollis is coming to Orlando Pirates as a Relebogile Mofokeng replacement? There's a lot of talk around Relebogile Mofokeng, rightly so. He's a very good player and there's a lot of interest in him. What I've read recently is that there's interest in him in Europe. Apparently there are 2 clubs, so they say, there are 2 clubs in Europe who have tabled offers to Orlando Pirates and they're interested in bringing him. We've heard his father speak in the media and he's talking about his father is that good, and yes, we agree with him. We agree with Mr. Chaba Mofokeng that his son is that good. And yeah, so there's interest in him. There's interest in him in Europe, and this signing for some of us gives us it gives us the idea that Orlando Pirates is already tabling a replacement for Relebogile Mofokeng before they can announce his departure. I do want to say that would be unfortunate in the sense that obviously we want the best players playing for us, especially with our surge for success and title success and winning the league this upcoming season, is that you want people like Mofokeng still playing because he's very much one of the best players for us. And so you don't want to be going through the cycle of releasing your best players and having to start again with someone like Appollis, having to find his feet at Orlando Pirates, having to try to now fill those boots that Mofokeng will leave in that left wing. And so that's where a lot of us are kind of like, our joy is short-lived and stolen by those thoughts, thinking that he very well could be a Relebogile Mofokeng replacement. And however, I do want to say that if he is a Relebogile Mofokeng replacement, he's a very good Relebogile Mofokeng replacement. I really do think that in terms of play style and what he almost can do on the ball, I'm very happy with that replacement. I think we're not getting too much of a gap. I do think in as much as Mofokeng is one of the best players in the country, he's not miles off Oswin Appollis currently. I think Mofokeng has a higher ceiling, don't get me wrong. He has a higher potential. I think if he goes on and he trains with better players and he plays in a better league, he's going to improve massively, Relebogile Mofokeng. But I think where he is now, in terms of his quality now, his current ability right now, not his ability potentially, is I think someone like Oswin Appollis is very near the ability of Mofokeng. And for that reason, if we get someone who's around that ability currently, we're getting a good signing. And then there's also added the fact that I think Oswin Appollis will also improve as well. I think he's going to become better. And, you know, the other sweet spots that I like about this signing of Oswin Appollis is something that I always say, and I always think if I don't say it, is I think at Orlando Pirates, the kind of signing you want to make is, you know, in as much as we've seen these signings where Saleng comes from almost nowhere and he comes and he becomes the best player at Pirates, but I think the level of Orlando Pirates currently, you want players, yes, who have potential and can still improve, but the potential that you want is a kind of proven potential, and I can explain that. What I mean by that is, you know, when you sign someone at 24 years old, especially when you sign him and he's not from your development team, is he's coming in at 24, which is a good age, which says that he's had a couple of years now in the league, or maybe in another league, like, you know, someone like Maswanganyi played in Portugal and then he came back and I think he played for a season and a half or something like that in South Africa. And at the age of 24, when we pick him up, 24, 25, is that he's no longer a young player. He's no longer a teenager trying to forge a career. He's quite established, you know. And I think the sweet spot for me, for Orlando Pirates, is, does he have 100 games at the top level? I think when you're getting someone with 100 games at the top level, someone like Oswin Appollis, is then you are confident that, okay, I'm not sure if Oswin Appollis has 100 games exactly. I think he gives me the vibe that he's around those numbers. So when you get someone around 100 games, is you can bet he's still going to improve, but at the same time is, you know what you are getting. You know you're getting someone who knows the level that is required of him. And I think those are the kind of risks when Pirates is risking with players. They should have a sweet spot of the number of games he has already played combined with the potential he still has. And for me, it ticks all those boxes. He's Bafana Bafana international. In fact, he smashes those boxes. Being even like an international player who's now played for his national team. I think this is a massive signing by Orlando Pirates. I'm very happy about it. Now, obviously, the alternative is that if Mofokeng is staying, some people are thinking of this as the right wing replacement, is that he's coming in to play on the right. You know, because some people are trying to get over Mundapule Saleng and they're saying, we're okay now with Saleng, we've been fine and things like that. And obviously his competition is quite stiff because Mohaung Kota has also done well for Pirates on that side. But whatever the case may be, whether he plays left or right, whether he comes in as a squad player, this is a great signing nonetheless. And I think all things considered, he will do well. I think if he plays on the right, obviously, especially when you think of him as a Saleng replacement, is then his work will be cut out for him, because then he has to score a lot of goals for Orlando Pirates. If he's coming in as a Mofokeng replacement, he has to be kind of the chief creator and the spark in the team, as well as carry the expectations of being the star player of the team. And yeah, either way, I think he's got his work cut out, but he's got the talent for it. Anyway, let me leave it there. Up the mighty Bucks. Cheers. Well, I hope you enjoyed that video from Talking Buccaneers. If you did, please hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with all our future content.